Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. It's my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, hello. I am really excited to have you join us for another episode of The Real Journey of Entrepreneurship. You do not want to miss this episode. Make sure you have your pens, your notepads, your phones, or whatever it is that you have to write in, because this episode is going to be full of gems, specifically as we are talking about business profitability. But I also want to add in comma, business accountability and all that other good stuff, because I think it's really important that we share, specifically as we're entering into the business space, about how do we become profitable? What does that really look like? And no, I'm not going to be the person to talk about that. I brought in experts, and that's the beauty of when you are creating space and networking and being out in the community. You have individuals who you can tap into that live in the space. So I am happy to say that welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneurship. I have the best seat in the house, primarily because I get to share a virtual seat with those who have the courage, who have entered into the space of entrepreneurship, and can also provide realistic tips to help us grow and scale our business. And today is no exception. I brought along with me Tuesday Brooks, who is the business owner, educator, and trusted tax and accountant advisor. Now, I know that if you've been paying attention to the show, we consistently talk about the importance of making sure that you have, number one, a very qualified and responsible business tax advisor, aka the OG of accounting. It's really important, specifically when you are thinking about growing your business. But not only is Tuesday in that wonderful space that I love so dearly, but also a proud U.S. veteran. So I am really excited to welcome this amazing entrepreneur to the space. So enough about me. Hello, Tuesday.
Hi, Anita. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
So I am really excited to have you join this space. Huge fan of the work that you do as a fellow entrepreneur. Would you be able to describe, why did you launch AJOY?
Why? Okay, so it just sort of found me, actually. It just sort of found me because I was, from as early as high school, I was an accounting major, but I went on this journey through my life doing different things. I had a spell as a licensed educator in New York City. I worked for a venture capital firm. I did things in media and entertainment. So I was just doing a whole bunch of things. until finally it just all came together. I started working where I really cut my teeth was working with a tax accountant, and he was my client at the time. And after working with him a couple of years and seeing the needs of small businesses in our community, I was like, oh no, this got to change. So I figured I'd use my skill set with accounting and what I had learned in tax, put those together, and then work directly. And that's when I spun off and started my own business to work directly with business owners. So yeah, it just sort of found me.
So when you were entering this space of discovery, how did you make the determination for yourself for your specific business structure? What did that look like for you?
Right. So it wasn't for I because I started out with, in the very beginning, you have just a few clients, right? One or two clients. Um, the most I did was get a DBA certificate. I just created my business as a sole proprietorship, right, and kept it pushing. There was not really anything more that I needed. However, I will say that's not necessarily the route for every business owner, right? You really have to contemplate what's your goal, your future goal for the business, right? So, what's your exit strategy, right? Is this a company you want to ultimately sell to others, or to leave it to family members, or do you want to take it public? You know, meaning you're going to take on shareholders, or are you going to take on members? So you really have to think. You can't just do it how I did it. You really have to think through what the future of your business looks like, what you envision, and then you're going to talk to an attorney and an accountant and get their input. They're going to have different perspectives. The attorney is going to tell you the legal stuff and how to form. The accountant is going to tell you the financial and or perhaps tax stuff to consider, and it's going to be different, right? So you got to reconcile all that information. If you ask two accountants, two attorneys, you're going to get four different answers. That's just how convoluted it is.
So it's very interesting that you mention what I call being a part of your Fab Five, right? The attorney and the accountant. Would you describe what that looks like? Because I know that you do a lot of work with small businesses.
Yes.
What are some of the sayings? Because it's really about, why do I need to have an accountant? Would you describe just the level of importance of having what I call those two OGs as primaries within your space?
Yeah. Well, we have heard the alarming failure rates of small businesses, right?
Mhm.
A large part of that is attributed to poor business strategy. So that's no planning from year to year, right? Outwards 10 years, and poor cash management. So poor financial management. Those are the two main reasons that businesses go out of business. So when it comes to financial management, um, unless you want the bottom to fall out, that is the one area that you have to focus on more than anything else, right? Everything from planning how to get sales, right? To get revenue coming in, to once it comes in, what are you going to allocate it for? And how are you going to manage that? So that's the bottom line. If you want to stay in business, that's the importance of it, right? We could go into all the other reasons, right? So that you qualify for capital, so that you qualify for grants, so that you have the statement, so you can minimize your taxes. There's a whole bunch of reasons, but the reality is, if you want to stay in business for any length of time, that part has to be tight.
Hmm. Which leads to the comment and about defining profitability for small businesses.
Mhm.
So do tell, do tell.
Yes, yes, yes. And I love this. This is my favorite subject, profitability. because because we often leave out, because we're taught the basic accounting formula, income minus expense equals profit, right? um, that expense part is not really clear.
Mm,
So most new business owners are going to think that's just the business expenses, right? But the reality is that in order to be profitable, there are other things that you have to cover, right? So you got to cover the business expenses, yes, meaning they are all paid. You have to be paying yourself. You are not a profitable business if you are not yet paying yourself, whether that's through owner's draw or salary, right? You have to have health insurance. You cannot be a business owner walking around without any health insurance. So that is either paid through what you pay yourself personally, you get a policy, or the business can pay for a policy for you. Okay. And this is for those who don't have a spouse or someone who they're on their insurance, right? You have to be able to cover all your taxes. So unless all of your personal taxes are paid and all of the business taxes are paid, you are not yet profitable. And then you need a retirement plan. You are the business owner, you are employing yourself, and you are therefore responsible to do those things that you would expect from another company, right? A retirement plan. You need something to live off of when you are no longer working or able to work. So the retirement plan, okay? And then if you really want to get sophisticated, you need to have an investment account, right? You need to be investing in the stock market. So once you've taken care of all of those things I just listed and you have a penny left over, you are profitable. All it takes is one penny to be left over after all of that, and you're good. Until then, you are doing a fantastic job, and you're working towards being profitable.
wow. Okay, so where do I follow up?
Yeah.
So there was some interesting things that you mentioned. In the beginning, you talked about paying yourself. Why is it that we forget, especially when we're just starting, to pay ourselves as business owners?
You know why? Um, I don't know, to be honest. But I do, it's weird, right? You end up being your worst employer. Like, who wants to work for a company that's not paying them? Okay, so that's the first thing. We get it confused and start thinking, oh, this is my passion. So I'm going to spend on everything else but myself. That's part of it. Um, Another thing is we're taught that we should reinvest in the business, and quite honestly, that is not reinvesting in the business. When you're
Hmm.
not paying yourself but you're just taking the money that you have to cover the bills, that's not reinvesting in the business. Okay, you have to get to that point where the business is profitable, everything that I talked about, and now you have money left over, set aside, and now you could take that money and invest something in something that's going to bring the business forward. That's reinvesting in the business. Okay. Yeah. One of the other things I forgot to add in that list of profitability is having a savings account. The business has to have a contingency account as well as all the other things, to be truly profitable. Because we learned, right, in 2020 what it meant not to have a cushion, and how many businesses went out of business because they didn't have much to live off of or to operate for that time.
Another follow-up question. With
Mm-hmm.
regards to um, seeing where businesses are from 2020 with your experience to now,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that has improved in terms of being profitable, or have more businesses from your experience learned the lessons of 2020?
Yeah. Woo. Well, I think that a lot of businesses have learned lessons. from 2020. So from our perspective, which I think is a little, I think we're in our own bubble, right? Because I'm dealing with the clients who we do their accounting in most
Mm,
cases, and we see how profitable they're becoming and how they're growing. And part of that is because they have financial management in place, right? We are their tax accountants and their bookkeepers. So well, we're seeing the growth. Now, what other businesses that we're not working with, what that still looks like, I imagine there's still some, insecurity there. Yeah, but from what we're seeing, businesses, they learn lessons, and a lot of our clients who were initially just tax clients, they eventually got on board, and it's like, okay, I need you to do out my bookkeeping now, because they were scrambling. They realized that they were scrambling trying to apply for grants and apply for the loans and all of that stuff, and they didn't have the paperwork in order. So that's the upside of it. I think a lot of businesses are becoming a lot more responsible in that area.
So, would you be able to describe to the audience the difference between bookkeeping and also financial management? Because you described those as two separate spaces.
Right. Yeah. So financial management is really just our fancy way of saying accounting,
Mhm.
right? And so accounting is the overarching term that includes bookkeeping, tax preparation, tax advisory, and payroll. So if there's anything that we're doing for you in that space, it falls under the category of accounting. And so financial management is simply, another term for that. Hmm.
Okay, appreciate that for clarification for those who may
Hmm.
not know.
Yeah.
So, in terms of because I know that the space of ensuring that business owners are being financially responsible with their resources and also being able to grow and scale and be profitable. What are some of the um, importance of being in business financial order in comma and being in personal financial order? So I know that there's a separation of the two, but
Yeah.
why is it so important?
Yeah. Well, so you bring up a good point. A lot of times how we manage our personal finances just impacts how we manage the business, right? Because we don't know, and if it's not good, that then it's not going to be good for the business. Whereas if someone is a pretty good on a personal level, they'll tend to manage their business finances well enough too. um, but the importance is a so that you can generate enough sales to cover your personal living expenses, right? We're in business so we could take care of ourselves, I hope. I think ultimately we should be striving towards being self-sufficient and having our business, take care of all of our needs. So we have to be able to do that. Also, we have to be able to minimize taxes. The more money your business makes, the higher your taxes are, particularly for those of us who are in New York, because we have three levels of taxation. We have federal, we got New York State, and we got New York City, right? So that has to be managed and minimized. I don't want anyone to pay a penny more than their share. So you got to have the books in order to figure out what that is. And people don't realize it, because when they're spending on their personal accounts for the business, or in the business accounts on personal things, and they're paying for things on random credit cards, that's called shoddy, right? Bookkeeping, or no bookkeeping, just shoddy records. And I guarantee you're going to pay more taxes than is your part. a lot of people don't realize it if they get refunds. They think because they're getting refunds that they're not paying taxes. But the taxes that you have to pay are still being taken into consideration on that tax return. And it's still going to be more than what you would have ordinarily had you had really sound bookkeeping in place.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question just by listening to what you were talking about and describing the separation of what we call church and state, right? In terms of our financial resources.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One may think that it's appropriate. So you mentioned that, have personal stuff stay with personal and business essentially stay in business. Essentially, what I heard is to keep your books in order.
Yes. And there's actually a term for that. And the IRS, the tax agencies look for this. It's called commingling. It's called commingling and money shuffling. So they literally have terms for it. So you do not want to do that. Any bills you have to pay personally, it should not happen in a business account. And this is even if you're a sole proprietor. A lot of times we think, oh, I'm the business is me, so I can just do everything out of my personal account. No, you cannot. The moment you go in business, you can create a name for yourself, even as a DBA, or you can use your name. You can still get a tax ID number and open up a business bank account. And that is the point that you start keeping everything absolutely separate. And why this is important is because a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to create an LLC, so I'm going to limit my liability. No, you're not. The reality is the court knows that that's you. If something goes wrong, the judge is going to know that you did it. Okay. So that is not protecting you. Further, it's called closely held. And further, if they have to, they're going to ask for your records. And if they see the money shuffling and the commingling, they're going to say, you didn't treat this as a separate business, so neither are we. And now you're personally responsible for whatever happened. Okay. And that is, so understand that it's not the formation of your business necessarily that's going to protect you. It's going to be your sound financial management. And that's coming from an accountant, not an attorney. I'm not an
Mm.
attorney, but what I just said is true.
Is a certified public accountant. And so I'm really curious about what the most recent statement that you made regarding um, really just having sound financial management. So, just from a perspective of, um, I know even in the space that I live in, people are terrified when it comes to dealing with their finances. How do you, as a tax professional, help to navigate that fear or just, you know, walk them through it, holding hand? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's the fun part. Yeah, the company's name AJOY, right? So that's the fun part for us. And that's why if you look at our social media, if you look at the videos I do, if you look at our Podlet, we try to make it as digestible as possible and as fun and easygoing as possible, just so everyone can get little bits of information that will be helpful and it not seem so intimidating. The financial fluency part of this whole thing is first and foremost in what I do, and and why the firm exists. So yes, it's hand holding, it's accessibility, it's trying to make it as lighthearted as possible. My favorite posts come out on Friday. There's always a corny joke that's accounting related. And Paula on our team, she finds them. I don't know where she gets them from, but they are hilarious. And so it's just the little things like that, being able to talk about it and talk about it in very simple terms. So people get used to hearing it and they don't want to run from their accountant. We want them to run towards us and not away from us.
And not stacking anything in between the mattress any longer.
Right. Right. True.
Yeah, we've heard it all. So, and as we come to a close of our engaging discussion, what are 5 realistic tips related to being profitable, related to making sure that you are financially sound, and other tips if someone wanted to just start a business, like what are some things that you can offer?
Yeah. The tips that the tips that come to mind for me are just general about business, right? And you even mentioned it in your intro about being consistent, right? If you're going to be a business owner, you have to be organized, consistent, and tenacious, right? Those are
Mm,
my 3 top things. The business doesn't grow if you don't have those in place. It's nothing worse than, having an experience with a business owner, and then next time you want to buy from them, that experience is totally different, or lacking. And that's happened to me quite a few times. We're not consistent in our delivery, in our product, our service, and our delivery. So you want to be consistent. You got, in order to do that, you got to be really organized, and you got to be tenacious, because there will be ebbs and flows that, and challenges that you'll have to get over. So that's one thing I could think about. Another thing is, um, don't subscribe to DIY, do it yourself.
mm,
Okay, do not do it yourself. No, because you don't know what you're doing. Unless you are an expert social media marketer, or you are an accountant, you even took accounting 101, or took a bookkeeping class, or learned how to use bookkeeping, or unless you're an attorney, like these things you do not know how to do, so you should not be doing it. Period. To give a dance, you got to pay the band. That means be willing to pay for the services that you need to have your business set up right. Okay, so don't, and we waste so much time trying to do things ourselves. We're not focused on sales. Our number one focus should be sales. If you're doing the bookkeeping or social media posts and all that other stuff, you're not focusing on sales. So how are you going to grow the business? That's why the business, when I talked about business strategy, that's why the business is going to go belly up, because there's no focus on sales. There's no strategy for sales. Okay. So that's another thing I could think of a tip. Um, Always stay in, and I'm not saying don't stay in a state of learning. So I want you to stay in a state of learning, but not to the point where it cripples you, right? I find early entrepreneurs, they spend so much time taking this class, learning how to do this class, that class, that. They ain't running the business. They're too busy trying to learn how to do everything. And my last tip would be, go to our YouTube channel where you can listen to a whole bunch of other tips. I got a whole lot of tips over there. They from about 5 years back, on all of these different topics, and none of them are long, right? They range between 2 or 4 minutes, so they're digestible, and I think they would be helpful, So, yeah.
so that is amazing. So we are going to place all of your contact information and tips where you can follow all of the what I call the OG sauce, right? And so, but this is really interesting. So we were typing as you were talking about your tips, being
Mhm.
consistent, organized, tenacious. Don't describe to DIY. That was me. That
Yeah.
was I am coming to the table honestly admitting that, I felt like I needed to know every single thing. And the truth is, I would pay for service, but I still felt like I just needed to know.
Well, that's good. No, I don't. That is smart. We
Yeah.
want you to have the foundation, but get the basics and then move on. Have someone
Mhm.
do it for you. So I would agree with that. I'm talking about the business owner that has, they're crippling themselves. they're stagnant. The business is not growing because they're so busy taking all of these courses and trying to do that stuff that they learned themselves. Like I would never, you know how many digital marketing workshops I've taken? I would never try to do it. We hired a company that does digital. Why would I try to do it? Even though I learned the basics, right? Like I know what SEO, I know what the terms are, and what needs to be done. So now I feel comfortable paying for it because I know the benefit of it. So did it right. You got to know, but then you got to move beyond that, right? We got to generate some sales.
And it's interesting that you mentioned about the paying for services that you absolutely need. Oh, excuse
Ooh,
me.
bless you.
That was very unexpected. Excuse me. So paying for services that you need. So how do you know, right, when to do what, right, for the startup?
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna come organically.
Mm.
But bookkeeping is first before anything else. Because and the person says, but I don't have any money. I'm not making any sales yet, so I don't have anything to bookkeep. You should be bookkeeping with zero. If I should see your first year financial report, it should say zero revenue and maybe $5,382.64 in expenses, because I know that you spent on a business. I should see that first year financial statement with those numbers. Period. Because as each year goes on, we're going to be able to see the growth, right? It could be negative 5,000 first year, negative 2,000 the second year. That shows growth. You can break even the third year. That's showing growth. Now you're not in the negative. You understand? So that accounting piece is one of the primary things, right? Social media or sales actually should be second. You should be figuring out who your client is and how you're going to find them, right? So that's first and foremost. So you're going to find someone who is either an expert in sales, or you're going to yeah, and not just social media. Everybody mistakes. They think that social media is just sales. Being on Instagram is not sales, okay? And then, that'll come later. You know what I mean? And you got to invest in your organizational structure, right? So in other words, how are you going to operate the business, and how are you going to get your product or service? How are you going to deliver it? And how are you going to get paid? Those are the basic things. Then everything happens organically. Once you start getting overwhelmed and you're like, holy crap, I need help. That's when it triggers hire your first hire, whether that's someone part-time or it's an intern, someone working virtually, it doesn't matter. But you're going to get to the point where now you're feeling a little overwhelmed and you have to take that leap. And by the way, it's never going to feel comfortable. You don't wait until, okay, I could afford it now. I didn't hire my first person when I felt like I could afford it. I hired her when I needed it, and it just came together. That relieved me of doing certain things. So now I can focus on clients and bringing money, and then I can afford her, right? So it sort of happens, but the basic things are your organizational structure in terms of how you're going to operate, your bookkeeping, and your sales.
And so on that note, I am super excited that I was able to connect with you virtually. Please, please be sure, if you're looking for an OG in the accountant space, there you have it. Tuesday Brooks. There, all of the information is scrolling at the bottom in terms of outreach and communication. Are you accepting new clients? Because I always have to ask, because then you'll get flooded with, I saw you on that show, and then it's
Right.
but
Well, thank you for asking. Yes, we are always open to accepting clients because there is an actual process to it, right? So we can't take on everyone, but we have a discovery call, and we decide if it's a good fit, and then if it is, we onboard them. So we're very intentional in how we bring on new clients. But yes, because we want to grow as well. So yeah, you just got to be very intentional about it. So we're not inundated with um, yeah. There's a such thing as clients and customers that are not a good fit.
Yeah, that's another topic for another.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally understand. So before I let you go, normally like to finish the show with some rapid questions, one word answers, just so we can learn more about you. So you ready?
Okay.
So as a native New Yorker, what's your favorite borough?
Oh God, that's hard because I was born and raised in the Bronx, and I love the Bronx, but I'm a Harlem girl now,
See.
so I'm gonna have to say Harlem.
Ooh,
Thanks,
Harlem
that
it
hurts.
is.
That
That was
hurts though, because I'm a Bronx girl.
I know how it is, but sometimes you have to share. So,
Oh,
what do you do for self-care?
oh man, whew, I got a whole routine, but how much time we got? No, no, I do. I always keep a prayer in my mouth, right? So not just in the morning do I pray, but all day long. That's part of my self care. I'm in an apartment, but I actually have a sauna. I have a portable steam sauna in the apartment. So I go into the sauna, I get on the treadmill, I eat well, I get massages regularly, weekly, every Saturday morning. Everybody knows where to find me, and that I won't be available until afternoon. So yeah, I do a lot in that department. And my special favorite thing to do is to go boating in the summer and boating during boating season. That's how I spend all my time taking care of myself and just getting away from the craziness that is tax season.
Yep, and we know that all too well. So, in terms of your favorite foods, what do you like to enjoy? What do you appreciate in terms of food?
In terms of food, when someone else has cooked it,
It's the best answer I've heard.
I have someone cook food for me because there was a time that I loved cooking. And I would actually have Sunday dinners and have friends would come over every Sunday and we would have a different theme, right? It'll be Italian one night, Caribbean another, Spanish another, Asian another. And I would mix it up. And that was a lot of fun. But once I started the business and got focused on growing, it just wasn't any room. I was going long days without eating.
Yeah.
I would look up and it's 8 o'clock and I had not eaten a meal. So I found a solution for that. And that is someone cooking. Yeah. I had to because I that was so unhealthy. I was working long, long hours and not eating. So
Wow, that's a tip that I'm thinking about
yes.
implementing. That
Yeah.
is yeah, because I like to cook, just yeah.
I strongly recommend it. Yeah, I had to, give it okay. I enjoy cooking, but not that much to where I want to spend my time doing that now. No,
Mm.
now I just need to eat. so so yeah.
So final question, what is the legacy that you would like to see within the space that you are creating?
Yeah, I would like, first of all, I would like women uh, accountants or financial advisors or tax strategists, anyone in this space who is a woman. I would like us to be much more well respected, and utilized, right? And I want to be able to, personally just have an impact on businesses that we work with, right? So I want those businesses to grow. I want to work with every woman-owned business. That's a good thing because I want to be able to see their growth. And we're also actually training young ladies to be bookkeepers, because I got frustrated not being able to find the right team members. They weren't working in the way that we needed them to. So I got the idea, why wouldn't I just train, young people in the AJOY bookkeeping way? And so that's the impact I want to have. I want there to be more bookkeeping professionals that know how to do what they do really well, and they can even spin off and start their own businesses. And I want to see women-owned businesses really, really grow. And those are my colleagues. I want to see us more mainstream. It's not that many of us, relatively speaking, especially in the small business space. And especially in New York, we all know one another. We work with one another. We refer to each other. We have each other guests on our, and podcast and all kinds of stuff, because we really share, the knowledge that we have and support one another, which is a beautiful thing. I love that part of it.
And so there you have it. We know where to find you Tuesday.
Thank
I
you.
am really, really grateful that you were sharing your heart and also your expertise, getting us in order through understanding, being consistent, organized, tenacious, and not doing the DIYs by ourselves. Just pay for the stuff that we need. Pay for it. Pay for it.
Yes.
And so, on that note, I'm going to send you virtual hugs and kisses. Thank you so much
Thank
for taking
you.
time for joining. Really, really appreciate your level of experience. And please feel free to come back anytime you want to share.
All right. Thank you so much. All right.
Take care. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
And so, there you have it. It is no excuse for us to be able to get our information in order. I'm just going to recap because those were some serious gems. Hopefully, you had your notes out. So, Tuesday's tips: being consistent, organized, tenacious. Do not subscribe to DIYs. Pay for the services that you need, and do not let learning cripple your business. That's really important. But also throughout the discussion, we talked about, as a business owner, having a retirement plan, investment account, health insurance that you pay for yourself as a business, and having a savings account to float you through those times when your cash flow is limited. But also, just really, and I always say this, and I know y'all probably get tired of hearing me saying the importance of keeping your books in order to cover your general expenses, and also to minimize your tax bracket. Again, you heard it from the expert CPA, which is amazing to connect with. So if you're interested in utilizing Tuesday's services at AJOY, please check out the information there scrolling at the bottom. And I also want to share that if you are, we are featuring businesses, and if you're interested in being featured and buying ad space, please do not hesitate to call us at 718-691-8966. You can DM us on the social platforms that are out there: Instagram, Facebook. We do respond. Or you can email us at info@11375.com. Also wanted to mention that there are a number of variety of different resources that you can take advantage of. We are always really excited to partner with a number of chambers of commerces that exist within the footprints of the 5 boroughs in upstate New York. So they are there. You should definitely, if you're looking to elevate your network, consider being a part of some of these business opportunities. And also wanted to share that if you are looking for additional opportunities for us to support you in your business goals, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're at 11375 on all of the social platforms, And also, we do still accept phone calls. So on that note, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your schedule. Please be sure to check us out, like, share, follow us on the social platforms. If you are interested in being a guest on our show, do not hesitate. We won't say no. And so, want to say thank you for supporting us and talk to you again soon. Welcome to 11375. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am the owner of a New York-based MWBE certified business consultancy. We focus on business education for startups, and we also connect mid-sized companies, corporations, community-based organizations, and government agencies to foster affordable solutions that will allow your business to flourish. We elevate the awareness of our communities with regards to financial, mental, and also economic wellness. Some of our services include project management, training and facilitation, stakeholder engagement, and also advocacy within the business community. If you're interested in some of our services or all of them, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're on all of the social platforms at 11375, or you can check us out at our website at 11375.com. We look forward to supporting you in your business goals.